Welcome to Shining Mountain Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful Kalispell, Montana. The sun is shining. It's a wonderful day. I do a prayer for the ministers listserv the 25th of every month, and I started it out with a little children's song that said, "Good morning, world. Good morning, universe. I'm on my way to a wonderful day." And we are, aren't we? We're on our way to a wonderful day because God is ever present. And so I'm so glad to have you here with us this morning on this beautiful day. And I have a couple of little things I wanted to cover before we get started. And that is that if you have anything that is heavy on your heart or anything that you'd like us to celebrate with you, that there are prayer request forms on the back table, and if you put that prayer request form in the prayer box, Reverend Yvonne and I will pray with you all week. And you can sign it or not. That's totally up to you. Also on the back table are some forms if you choose to be added to our mailing list. Some of you probably got something on email yesterday that said we were having soup and then dances of universal peace following service today. So if you didn't get it and you want to get those mailings, just fill out that form on the back table. For anybody that's new to our center, in the foyer we have some newcomer packets that just tell you a little bit about us and what we believe and what we do here. So that being said, I think we have some beautiful music this morning.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see no obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the sad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
Gonna be bright.
Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 bright sunshiny day.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And it is a bright, sunshiny day. Thank you so much. We've come to that place in our service now, maybe, where we get to bless the children. Except it's not wanting to move. Can you just hit the, I'll do it. Excuse me. I didn't take this out. It's, that was definitely operator error. It's time now to bless our children. The children here with us today, the children within us, and the children of the world. So if you would join me in this blessing of the children. We see you, who you really are, made in the image and likeness of God. We cherish you, we support you, and love you. So it is. And so in that place of love and kindness, we move within to acknowledge our oneness with the divine. There is only one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. If that is true for me, that is true for all. God, the good, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Knowing that God is light and life and love and peace and joy and health and wholeness and abundance. What I know is there is nothing outside of God, and we are one with it. So we too are life and love and peace and joy. And so as I speak my word this day, I speak it knowing truly, truly we move through this ensuing week filled with the light and the love and the joy and the energy of the divine, seeing the God within all we meet, sharing peace and love and joy with all we meet, knowing that God is ever present in all things. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the wisdom and the knowledge of the divine. I'm grateful for the support and the strength of the divine. I am grateful that we are loved and supported as we move through our day. I simply say, thank you, God. And I release this word now to the perfect working of the perfect law, which always, always, and only says yes. Please join me in affirming, and so it is.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day.
Shiny day.
It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day.
Thank you, Audie and Don and Jamila. And thank you, Jeff, for joining us today. Yeah, it's beautiful. And now, Audie, would you please do a reading for us?
Sure. This is Living from the Mountaintop by Reverend Christian Sorensen. And it's about praise. Praise it and raise it up. One powerful devotion is the language of praise. A commitment to applauding life's expressions opens the cosmic doors to a greater sense of oneness with life. Praise is a celebration, hailing the glorious revealing of the breath of Spirit taking form in your field of awareness. Every day you must appreciate and honor the magnificence of Source to life in grace. Praise is the key to opening the door so that you can return home.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Adi. Raising and praising. Amen. And so Reverend Linda brought us into the prayer of thanksgiving for the children, and raising and praising and blessing and loving our children, supporting them and holding them in the highest esteem. And we know and we believe that that is what our calling is. Whether we have children or not, whether we have grandchildren, there are children in the world who are blessed by our loving them, whether we know them or not. There are children of the world who are blessed by our supporting them and sending our blessings to them, whether we know them or not. And let's also include the parents and the caretakers. Let us include our elderly and our affirmed. Let us not leave anyone out of the blessing, including ourselves. For we are all here part of that incredible tapestry called life. We are all here as part of the blessing of the divine in an individual expression that has not been duplicated, because there only needs to be one of each of us. But we are all connected. So let us just breathe into that idea that we are here on purpose. That we are here full of the goodness, the grace, and the love of the one. Let us just breathe into that. You know, the little blessing we do about our children, we see you, who you really are, made in the image and likeness of God. I want to sing that song to the world. I want to sing that song to everyone I meet, because we're all children of the living God. And I want to hear it come back to me. And in order to do that, sometimes I need to adjust my perspective, my idea, my emotion. And that's what we get to do. We get to look at how we're experiencing the life that we are living in the moment, when we will take the time to see what it is, to not only feel it, but to see it and our connection to it. I realize that in blaming others, which I've been known to do at times, in blaming others, I take myself out of the driver's seat and become a passenger in life. And you know what it's like to be a passenger in the car of life. No matter how much you scream, no matter what you're holding on to, no matter how much you try and tell somebody else how to do it, you're still the passenger, right? You got to grab the wheel. You got to get in and grab the wheel yourself for your life and become the driver. We must not just be passengers or observers. We must participate. And what Rusty Schweikert said is, we aren't passengers on spaceship Earth. We're the crew. We are the crew. We aren't residents on this planet. We're citizens. And the difference is, in both cases, the difference is responsibility. So what I'll talk about a little bit today, and I'm always talking about, because I need to hear myself talk about, is the responsibility we each one of us have for the lives we are experiencing now. Because what does now do? It takes us into the next now. And pretty soon we look at it and we're in what looked like the future, and it's the now, and we're looking back at the now, and it's the past. So you see, we're always living from the now, but we project and we look back. Let's stay in this and use the gifts from the past to take with us into the future now. So we have with us a power that's greater than anything we have ever contacted in the outer. We have within us a power that's greater than anything out here. It's within us, and that power can overcome every obstacle we experience in life. Every obstacle. So individually and collectively, we are in the midst of a time of change, a change in perspective. We're going to use our resilience. We are using our resilience, and we are persevering as we move into that what was a vision and is now our experience as we create visions ahead of the experience. You see, at one time, many years ago, this was a vision, this church, me being here, it was a vision in my head. We've all had visions that we've moved into, and then we have another vision ahead of that, don't we? If we don't, we're sleeping. If we don't have something in front of us that we are contributing to it, then we're asleep and we're the passenger. And you know that you can be a passenger in a car and be asleep and wake up and wonder where you are. Are we there yet? That's what happens sometimes when we fall asleep. And sometimes we experience what looks like failure on this trip. Shucks. What I planned didn't happen. What I wanted didn't come true. Now what? Now what? Well, when we experience a failure in life, sometimes they're really big things. You know, it can be in an investment or in your job or in a relationship, things that are very important to us. And we have these little experiences of failure. But what we know is we'll have failures of some type throughout our lifetime. And you know what else we have the opportunity to do with those failures? We have the opportunity, and we sometimes do, have them in public. Yeah, we don't just have them at home behind closed doors where no one knows about them. Often they become public. So here's the thing about failure. We can look at it and have a new perspective about it, like it's not taking away from us. It's not this huge loss. It's not this crash of self-esteem. It can be something greater for us. That was whatever we're calling the failure, the relationship, the job, the failure to get the right parking spot that we were so sure belonged to us, whatever it might be. And we can have a new perspective. That was, and this is. We come into a new perspective when we say, and this is. Because when you say the words, this is, you get to follow it with what you're choosing. You get to choose what this is. This is horrible. This is an opportunity. This is the worst. This is different. You see, we just get to take that breath and say, and this is. We get to be the driver of this vehicle called our life, my life. I'm the driver in my life until I move over into the passenger seat, as you are the driver in your life until you move into the passenger seat. Now, sometimes in our relationship with life, we will naturally be in the passenger seat as we're observing. I love to be in the passenger seat when I'm riding with my dear friend, my wonderful friend who loves to drive, because I get to see and look around and, just enjoy everything while she's focused on the road and looking around and enjoying everything. That's a little different. But we want to be the driver of our own lives. We want to be the one who makes the correction. Take a left. take a right, go forward, stop, whatever it is that we need to do and have determined it's time to do in this moment, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but in this moment, pause. Or in this moment, speed up. Whatever it is we want to do in life right now, in this moment, we can do because we are the person who's in charge. So we want to be able to recognize that we can form a new perspective around anything that we have deemed a failure. We can form a new perspective around it. Now, I say that because I talk to people, and I myself have experienced regrets, shame, guilt. Those things can just sneak right in. And you know what? If they're sneaking in, they've been there all the time. And if we're aware of them, it's probably because of a reaction we've had to either shame or guilt or regret. And for me in my life, shame, regret, and guilt look like a failure on my part, some type of failure that I've judged myself to have done. And not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying a new perspective is what can bring us out of that pain or that sometimes it takes my breath away when I remember something. It takes us out of that place of being in the emotion of something that happened way back and recognize that was a failure in the moment. And since then, and now, and from that, we can learn and develop a new perspective of how to live from that. Not in it, but from it. And if it's not something we're looking at ourselves about, failures, how many of you have someone in your life or something in your life you're observing as a failure? Too often, we'll look at something and see exactly what we have believed to be the truth about it. Whether it's a person, I'll never forget going back to my hometown and visiting with some folks, and I asked about a certain person. They said, oh, yeah, he's back now, and he's just, he was such a wild kid, and he did this and that. And I'm looking, this man is a very successful businessman. He contributes to the community. He has his family there. By all accounts, he is not the boy they were talking about 40 years before. But sometimes we carry that forward with us. So he was a failure in school, and he's still, today, he's still the same guy. We know him. Oh my goodness, how many of us want to be known by the mistakes we've made, the errors we've caused? It takes a new perspective within us in order to see beyond what looks like failure or mistake and regret and shame. It takes a new idea for us, because as long as we hold on to that idea we've had about something being wrong or someone being wrong or someone being a failure or ourselves being a failure, we will find the evidence for it. We will find exactly what our belief is, and then first then we'll act on what we believe. So we'll treat ourselves or others or situations with less than the light we have within us, the light that is the grace, the light that comes from that base of love that our soul is. So it's not about loving others, it's about being the love that others can step into or that we step into on a conscious level. And another thing I found out is, we usually don't die from our failures. Sometimes it feels like they're life-threatening. Oh, lose a job? Now what do I do? Where do I go? How do I recover from this? But in this moment, when those questions come up from that feeling of failure, there is also That was, this is. What is now? What is now? Oh, I have friends I could call that might have leads for a new job. I don't have any savings, but I know I can get some day work. You know, things like that we can bring ourselves out of that place of that the evidence that we see before us is taking us down that rabbit hole. We can lift ourselves out of it if we have a different perspective. And in order to have a different perspective, we've got to know that we can. We can. It's within us. It's that power that's within us. It's that power within us, that light within us to say, that is, that was, this is, that was, this is. It's called redirection. Redirection of our thoughts. We know that our thoughts create our experience of whatever is in front of us. Not the experiences out here in the world necessarily, although that will come too. Our thoughts create the experience we have to the world, to the experience, to the person, to the news. I had to tell my friend who isn't here today, she spends a lot of time on the internet reading the news and listening to the news and researching news. I mean, she spends a lot of time every single day. So she directed me to this one little thing. At least that's what I thought. The next thing, so I went to read an article. The next thing I know, it's 2.5 hours later. Oh yeah, do I have an addictive personality? Absolutely. Yes, we can get caught in things. And once we recognize that that's it, I know better than to do that again. You know, I've always known better, but I couldn't stand it. I was just going to read that one little thing. It's kind of like, for me, eating one piece of candy. I don't care where you hide the jar. I don't care where the rest of it is. I will find it. There is no such thing as one piece of candy. Yeah, we have to know ourselves. That's all we need to do. Know yourself. You know if you're allergic to something, more than likely, especially a food. Know what you're allergic to as far as your highest good is. Know what you're allergic to or you have a reaction to. You don't even have to be allergic. You can just have a reaction to something. That's what I did to the news. Man, I just got so caught up in that. And what did it do? It didn't expand my knowledge. It brought me back down into this place of judgment. I knew what was right. I knew who was wrong. You know, that kind of thinking. I'm not saying you experienced that, but that did happen to me that day. I was incensed over what I read. Now, here's what I don't know. Was that the absolute truth and the only thing that could be true there? I don't know, but I sure found a lot of evidence that said it was. But does that make it the absolute and only truth? Not at all. Not at all. Is there ever anything that's totally, absolutely true with nothing else around it? I know it feels like there is. But when we're open to at least taking the breath and allowing some space for something else to come in. And maybe it isn't that there's more truth to be known for you in the moment, but it's letting go of the emotion that was so tight in the moment. Or letting go of the fixation, or letting go of the need for more information. It's just allowing myself to come back into centeredness. Mindfulness, I believe it's called. Mindfulness. If we saw each other and saw ourselves as we see the children, the beautiful, precious children, maybe we would be more tender with ourselves. There's a story that I like to read at least once a year, and it's actually a Chinese proverb, and it's about a farmer and his son. And they had a beloved horse that helped them, help their family with their crops and to take care of their family and such. And the horse ran away. And the farmer and son's neighbor said, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible." But the farmer said, maybe so, maybe not. Well, later the horse returned back to the farm, and the horse also brought some wild horses with him. Oh my gosh, now they had a bunch of horses. And the neighbor said, "Oh, that is so wonderful, now you have a herd." And the farmer said, "Maybe so, maybe not." So the son is really excited, right? Because now there's a bunch of horses, there's a herd of horses. And he gets on one of the horses and bam, he's bucked off and he breaks his leg. And the neighbor said, "Oh, that is such a tragedy that your son has a broken leg." And the farmer says, "Maybe so, maybe not." And then the army came into town. And the army was there to recruit all the young men. But the farmer's son was not recruited because he had a broken leg, right? No good out there in the field. And the neighbor said, "Oh, what a blessing for you and your son." And the farmer said, "Maybe so, maybe not." The point of that story, and I really love it, is that sometimes what looks like a tragedy isn't so in the big scheme of things. Sometimes the things we want and think will be our good in the big scheme of things may or may not be. Only time will tell. But the time we have is when we're in the not so good or we're in the great. It doesn't matter. That's the only time we have is when we're there. So we get to decide how we're seeing it and what we're believing about it. Could we move a little bit further away from good and bad? Unless it's horrific, you know what I'm saying. But move a little bit further away, especially with our neighbors, our friends, our people, our tribe, our community, our village, the others. Could we move a little bit further away from our ideas of right and wrong, and include new perspectives, even the possibility of more information, more love, more tolerance, more forgiveness, more generosity, more beauty, more love, more kindness. Yesterday morning I got up and a friend, my dear beloved friend, says, there's a little practice that she does when she gets up in the morning, and she thinks instantly of 5 people she's very grateful to have in her life. So she tells me, and I do it, right? Yesterday morning I got up and it goes beyond family. It goes beyond family. So I got to about 15, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, my heart was so full of a woman who was my mentor, my friend, and my role model. And she's been gone about 7 months. But here's what I want to share with you. She had a perspective of life that was so incredible that no matter what I took to her, and I always did, my problems, my joys, my concerns, my judgments, my hopes, my dreams, my emptiness, I could take it all to her. And she would be like the farmer. So this is where we are. Not that's where you want to be, or that's where you've been, or this is what created it. This is where we are. We are, she would say. This is where we are. And the next thing I would know, she would be in that place that she had unlimited access to, called a field of infinite possibilities. The field of infinite possibilities she would take me to every single time. Whether it was something as simple as we need to raise some money for this project, or I can't seem to find a way to overcome this obstacle. It didn't matter what it was. Oh, this is where we are. And when she would say those words, I could take a breath. I could shake off my shame, regret, worry, anger, whatever it was, because I could take a breath in her presence. And that's what I believe is the gift that everyone here has for someone. Every person here, or maybe it's someone's, is that role model. Is that role model, is that friend, is that mentor for someone. I invite you when you go home today to, or maybe like before you go to bed tonight, square up those shoulders and look yourself in the mirror and realize you're not a passenger in life, you're the driver. And you have a responsibility here. And your responsibility is first to yourself, to be the most magnificent, the clearest, the absolute expression of grace and love that you can be. And remember, if you're the driver and you're not in that place of absolute love and grace, you can correct. You can correct your driving. You can change lanes. You can make a turn. You can stop. You can do whatever you choose. Because you are the one who has developed the perspective of how you are going to show up in life. Your belief, your actions, your gifts. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but is in rising up every time we fall." Every time we fall, every time we think we've failed, every time we've missed the mark, that's not our failure. Our failure would only be in not remembering, not being awake enough, not believing in self enough to rise up. We are part of this change that's taking place collectively and individually. We are a part of this. We are contributing to it. We are raising and praising and loving and guiding and empowering the children of the earth. That's our business. That's what we're here for. Mentoring. Role modeling. Loving. Recognizing and praising. In Adi's reading from Living from the Mountaintop by Reverend Christian Sorensen, he said, we are to raise and praise that which is in front of us. We are to raise and praise. Have you ever had an argument with someone and stepped back and raised and praised them? Well, it's okay if it takes a few minutes to do it. It's okay if it takes a half a day to do it. It's okay if it takes a week to do it. But here's the thing. When you are caught in that argument or that disagreement or that whatever it is, we can't be our highest self. We can't be our highest expression. But when we move to that place of saying, I raise you and praise you in the name of love. I raise you and praise you in the name of love. We have freed ourselves. We're not only freeing our idea of that person or that experience, we are raising ourselves. And who else is going to do it? That's what we're here to do. Raise ourselves. Raise ourselves that we can be the shelter for others. We know that everything we experience in life is either a call for love or an expression of love. So let us stand under the shelter of each other and recognize we are all children of the living God. And so I'll ask you to join me in this prayer of raising and praising. And so from within my heart, I raise all those ideas and thoughts, those judgments, those things that I have considered wrong. I raise all of this out of my heart, out of my mind. I raise this into the glory of God, where there is no judgment, where there is only love and harmony and oneness. And I praise myself and I praise others. I praise all of us that we have this ability to raise and praise in the name of love. To raise and praise ourselves. To raise and praise others. But to raise and praise in the name of love is to be speaking the language of God. And so knowing that we are all part of the one life, one mind, one energy, one creation. May we see anything that looks like failure on our part or someone else's. May we see that as an opportunity for something more to be known, something more to be discovered, something to be released, but something to move beyond. May we never allow failure to fill our hearts and our minds such that we would feel cut off from the very flow of life that is for us, is within us, is around us, and is ever present to all. May we know, may we feel this. May we recognize it in others and in all that we see. God is all there is. Many forms, many expressions. And so to the children of the earth, may blessings flow one to the other, that we may all be touched by this thing called love, this harmony and peace. Joy, may we experience joy. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Open my eyes, let in the light again. Open my eyes, let in the light again. Open my eyes, fill them with joy again. Open my eyes, open my eyes, heal my heart, let me begin again. Heal my heart, let me begin again. Open my eyes, open my eyes again. Open my eyes, open my eyes. Take a deep breath, breathe in the strength again. Take a deep breath, breathe in the strength again. Open my eyes, open my eyes again. Open my eyes, open my eyes, heal my heart, let me begin again. Heal my heart, let me begin again. Open my eyes, open my eyes again. Open my eyes, open my eyes.
Oh, let's give them some more love. We are so grateful. We are so grateful for your beautiful music. Thank you. So we've come to that time in our service where we get to put into practice the law of circulation. So for those of you who are in the sanctuary, there's a basket on the back table. And for those of you who are joining us online, if you go to our website, there's a donate button and you can donate there. So I'd like to ask you now to take your tithe, your gift, your offering, not only in your hand, but in your heart, and join me in this prayer for giving and receiving. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. And what we know is whatever we give returns to us multiplied. So I wanted to share with you that on October 9th, we will welcome back Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen, who is the spiritual leader for Seaside Center for Spiritual Living, and he will be here that Sunday, so be sure and mark your calendar and be here for that. And this is just a reminder that there's soup and bread following service today and dances of universal peace. So we want to thank everyone who joined us online today. We are so grateful that you chose to be with us today, and we want you to come back and see us again. And we love you, and we bless you. Thank you. So it's time.